Hey, this is Molly. I just wanted to record a video today. Last time I was talking about healing and I was talking about how healing is never really done and how also we can celebrate like in the present moment being healed or just like living the life that you deserve, regardless of what being healed looks like, and that we don't have to be chasing this endless pursuit of like seeking outside of oneself to heal, and how it can be an embodied practice instead of something that we're trying to arrive at. And so that, coupled with this idea that I was thinking about, which was inspired by just some really amazing people that I follow, some really great lessons that I have seen on healing, but I'm just noticing that all parts of me don't always resonate with anymore, is this kind of, I was kind of thinking about the difference between like mental healing and soul healing, and how there's a huge difference there. And even like a lot of really spiritual people, I think, utilize spiritual practices to try to get mental healing. I see this like almost a level of like neuroticism in the spiritual community of seeking like external gains, like especially in the manifestation community. And I don't even really want to get into it too much, but in the like prolific tarot readings, especially like love tarot readings. Sorry, Baron, I have the window open, so Baron is kind of excited about the outside. Baron, I'm filming. Yeah, I'm filming right now. Shh. We'll see if he cooperates. And how distracting. Speaking of Baron meowing, come here. No, come here. I know, little guy. How distracting that that whole field of influence can get. Speaking from firsthand experience about like seeking something to happen, or like confirmation of something happening, like whatever it is that we're wanting of, instead of grounding into this like awareness of just being enough now, right? And really appreciating what we have now, tuning into our spirituality through gratitude and through trusting that we're on the right path, which I would say is definitely like a more, okay, I'm not close to the window because Baron can't handle this. Excuse me. Okay. Which I would say is definitely a more like soul-centered place of, healing, which is just ultimately about trust, ultimately about not letting go of any of our dreams, but knowing that they are all coming towards us. And I completely believe in manifesting. I completely believe in, like creating a vision for our lives and having that vision plan out. But also, I think that, or pan out, I meant to say, but I also think that it can be taken to this really bad extreme where, and I don't like to say bad, but it can be taken to another extreme where there's distraction, there's like all this like need of external confirmation to say that you are in fact going to get that thing, which removes all of the trust and like the faith in God or the universe, whatever you call it, which is really necessary on your journey, especially if you want to be present and aware of like what's supposed to be happening in your life is happening at the right time for the right reasons. And if you're just rushing to the end goal, you're going to miss all of the things along the way. So anyway, this is a bit of a diversion, but I just wanted to lay out a little bit like some examples of like what I see as like mental healing, which is very cognitive focused, like something that I think is very useful. I just want to make this known, like mental healing is needed for a lot of things, but I think that for soul spiritual healing that we need, like we're never going to be sufficiently satisfied by that. So like I'll just give an example. Something that I was seeing that was kind of like an example of mental healing was like this video that I saw on Instagram that was talking about how in order to make like no contact for like dating somebody work, you have to go no contact in your brain as well. And so that means that like when somebody comes to your mind, which we all know this, we can't control our thoughts, but we can control our response to our thoughts, including like us engaging with that thought and having a conversation with that thought. We have to kind of not give that thought more attention or whatever, which I think is a very helpful strategy, and I definitely encourage people to use that, especially when they are in a situation where they are wanting to detach from a relationship that no longer is serving them, and it's just like an unhealthy pattern that they're playing out. So I highly, recommend that, and I think that it's a supportive tip. But it did just get me thinking, like, that's just very, and like definition wise, also is just a very cognitive approach, and so where does like the soul and like the heart, which I think the heart really grounds, oh, that was loud. I think the heart really grounds us in connecting to the soul. The soul is not the heart, but I think the heart is kind of like our transporter vehicle to tap into what our soul is yearning for and needing. So I'm not conflating the two, but I am using them a bit interchangeably here. That like that cognitive approach is important to take, but also we can't bypass like the soul's need in that journey by doing that. So like an example for this one about like going no contact with someone, there's still going to be the part in our heart that brings up that need. So asking ourselves on a deeper level, why is that need being brought up? And so we can definitely not respond to that bit in the brain, and over time, cognitively, it will rewire and it will come up less and less, which is awesome and great. And also, it's really important to look at the soul's need for companionship, to be understood, to be related to find a deep knowing and of being seen, which ultimately, I think, in any sort of relational healing, we do know the best place to seek that is from within. And from, I would say, when we're seeking it within, we're also seeking it from the divine, from the universe, seeking to be seen by our highest self and by the creator of that self that's interwoven with all of us. And confirmations of ourselves being seen from others, whether that is reminiscing on a really close time that we shared with an ex or with a friend or whatever, that's no longer reciprocated, and wondering about that and watching a tarot card reading about that, right? Hoping that somebody's going to come back. That's not really, even if you get that wish fulfilled, that doesn't fulfill the soul's need to be seen, because likely you were probably never seen by that person in the first place, which is probably why the relationship ended. So we can stop that behavioral pattern and probably find joy in just coming back into the present moment. And I think a purely cognitive or mental healing approach works for many people. In fact, I think most people mostly resonate with that. And that's why CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy, if you don't know, is like backed by most insurances and considered effective evidence-based treatment. Not slandering CBT here at all, just it works really great for most people. I think it's a very normative approach. But I don't make these videos to speak to most people. I make these videos to speak to people that specifically resonate with how I think, which is why, if you notice when I talk in my videos, I don't filter myself. I go on tangents. I go off here and go off there, because I know that the people that are meant to watch and resonate with these videos will naturally find them and will naturally understand what I'm saying and feel maybe seen themselves, because we have that in common. So while that mental approach may work for a lot of people, I think some people, some souls really are yearning for something deeper. And I think that, I don't even think, right? Because it's my soul, I feel this resonance with connecting in with this deeper wisdom of the meaning behind why we do what we do. And I think for getting to healing purposes, we kind of have to cut out searching for meaning at first, just to get to a place of grounded stability. because we can get a little bit manic searching for meaning before we're grounded. So it's important to come from a place of being centered, like being well rested, having a full meal, meditating, praying if that's something you do, going for a walk in nature, exercising regularly, maybe doing a creative practice, reading some inspiring stuff that connects with you spiritually. And once we're in that place of like being really engaged with our true being, our true essence, then I think we can start to ask those questions, not from a place of shame of like, why am I doing this? Oh, I need to stop doing this. I need to just cut it out. But noticing, right? Like, because that's, I mentioned meditation almost always first in that list, because meditation helps us with just noticing, oh, I'm having this desire to do this behavior that is not in alignment with my highest good, and I can see it giving me a spike in energy or dopamine temporarily, and it always tapers back down. And so where is that thing that's more of like a steady line that I'm getting for, that will be more of a calming practice for myself? How can I find that? How can I desire that? Instead of desiring this quick distraction, which I kind of talked about that. I still would like to talk more about that, do like a longer video on distraction, because the train cut me off on that one. But we only seek outside of ourselves for these answers ever because we think we can't get a deeper healing than that. It's like we only ever, I always use this analogy, and it's like no hate to the people who do this. It's just like the first thing that pops in my head, but it's like we only ever get drunk and turn on the TV after a long day of work because we think that it's not possible for us to not work a job that is soul crushing and brings us to our knees by the end of the day, and we have nothing left in us. We think that's the only option, so it's what we do. But when we have faith and hope, and we believe in our soul's purpose, we believe in like our personal destiny. For anybody who's read The Alchemist, or Personal Legend, I think it's called in that book, and we follow the omens to find that out, then we can know that even these moments of grief and pain, even these moments have something to teach us. A deeper need that's crying out, like Baron, right? He's stretching it, so cute. That need is going to keep crying out in different ways. And so I think that the mental healing can be supportive in the short term, especially when we need to get to that grounded place like I was talking about, and start not responding to those thoughts and start doing valued actions instead, like meditation or exercise, eating well, blah, 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 and just start doing the actions that start to change that pattern. And I think once we are at a place where we know that we're doing that, and we are fulfilling those basic needs, that is where it is very helpful to do some inner work, shadow work as it's referred to a lot, and processing out some grief of that self inside that is getting neglected, that is needing to be seen. And we can see it, our inner being can see it, our higher power can see it. We can be with that self in a soul way and bring a lot of presence to our experience. And in this way, we can see how that mental work and the soul work can merge, rather than mental work just being like, oh, I don't care about the meaning, I'm just doing this just so I can stop thinking about texting this person and then I'll be better, and it's very ego driven of like, I'm better now because I don't do that thing anymore. It's like, of course it's okay that I wanted to do that thing because it came from this place in me that really matters. And now that place in me has a home, has somebody who looks at it and holds it, I think a really good practice when we're having those needs is to practice like a somatic practice of like holding ourselves, squeezing our arms a little bit, and imagining that part that really needs to be seen, being seen and being held, and just notice how that feels. I notice when I do that, it's like I can feel like a little tingling in my head and like comes down. Just that comfort that somebody is there. And that somebody can be us. I think I resisted that for a long time because I really am anti-individualistic culture, you know, and telling ourselves like you need to just fix yourself. But I realize now, especially now that I tune into my spirituality, that being there for ourselves is just a way to let God in, a way to let God express its love through us to ourselves. And there will also be love from other people. We just can't force that love and make it happen when we always are needing support. And so we don't need to wait when we're needing support for that person to text us back, or for like to go hang out with somebody, or to go to the bar, party with people. We can just give it to ourselves right now in the present moment. And that's so powerful, so freeing. And it's so illuminating to know that the love is like always inside of us. The love of this higher power really wants to be expressed. And sometimes it just doesn't know how to be expressed. I think that's what kills me about like the kind of reductive conversation around like addictive or distracting behavior, like why people do what they do, and like there being an undertone of shame that like you just need to stop doing that. Of course, like if it's not serving you, like of course we want to stop doing that, but everything that we do that doesn't serve us will naturally fall away when we actually feel how bad it actually feels. But we're not going to recognize how bad it feels until we try something that feels better, because sometimes maybe that coping mechanism is the best thing we've ever felt in response to having that deep grief feeling, and it actually is the closest that grief feeling has ever gotten to feeling held. And we can do these cognitive practices, this mental healing of like just replacing that action, but I just believe there's just a layer under that needs to be seen too, and it's really important. And I really want to make it clear I'm not saying this or that, you know, like soul healing instead of mental healing. I think both are needed and necessary. And many people will just do fine with just mental healing. And for those people, you're probably not watching this video. But ultimately, I think that soul healing is what comes from facing that lack and questioning, like, why are we doing this? Why am I hitting this vape? Why am I whatever? It doesn't ever give me the thing I'm really wanting. So what am I really wanting? And do I have the courage to go after that thing and believe that I can get that, you know? Usually it's love. A really deep sense of felt love and acceptance. Love is really just acceptance and presence, safety, and it's always all around us. Like the love of God and the universe is always all around us. And it's okay to not feel that, because there's usually a lot of things that are clouding that, a lot of fears. That's why I love that saying, you know, let your faith be bigger than your fear, because the fears can all be there. But as we create space for regulation and slowing down and coming into the present moment, what I see it is like oil and vinegar, like the love kind of rises to the top and it starts to emerge after, you know, if you think about oil and vinegar in like a bottle and you shake it up really badly and everything all mixes together and it's like crazy and chaotic and you can't tell what from what, but then slowly when you set the bottle down, the oil like all rises to the top and it naturally separates. And so I think that it's like that with seeing love around. When we can get grounded and get present, we see how much love is right there in the present moment. And I know this can be really hard to hear for people going through really extreme grief. It does not feel like love is there. I get that. And I really don't want to reduce pain, because I'm not saying that there's not also pain with the love. Baron, he really wants attention right now, so I think I might stop this, but I hope that I can be heard in that I really hear that, you know, pain is a big part of like getting through to finding that love too and giving that love to ourselves. And I hope that this supported and helped someone who maybe doesn't feel fully supported just by mental healing alone, and it feels like, well, I tried that and nothing is happening, and then I feel shame because I went and did the action anyway. And I think this is what people say when they say to be gentle with yourself on the healing journey, because there are reasons why we're doing what we're doing. And if you're someone who needs to investigate and slow down and look deeply into the self, the part that needs to be heard, then you have permission to do that and to look at where your journey is leading you to look at. My journey is leading me to look at my kitty because he needs some support right now. So I'm gonna go. Thank you for watching.